We're talking NBA draft here on today's 76ers. Now, I got two sneaky NBA draft targets whose teams have been eliminated from March Madness already that should be available and could be good picks for the Sixers if they hold on to that top 6 protected pick. The NBA draft, speaking of, we're starting to get closer to that time of the year. The NBA draft lottery coming up on May 12th. And then the 2025 NBA Draft, now a 2-day event, June 25th and June 26th. Of course, the lottery is going to be so important for Philadelphia. If their pick falls out of the top 6, they won't even have a first-round pick in the 2025 NBA Draft. So you're not going to want to miss any of the coverage that we provide right for you here on 76ers Now. So be sure, subscribe, lock us in, and don't miss a thing when it comes to the NBA off-season. Two targets I want to talk about here today. Again, both of these teams have been eliminated from March Madness already. The first one, Tre Johnson, the freshman guard out of Texas, 6'6", 6'10 wingspan. Like to see that positive wingspan there. 190 pounds, just 19 years old. And Tre Johnson, you want to talk about a bucket, a straight bucket getter? That is Tre Johnson out of Texas. He is a natural shot maker. Any shot on the court, he can get to it. He can get his shot up anywhere, especially by the three-point line where he loves to live. He is efficient from beyond the arc, not so much inside the arc, but we'll get to some of his weaknesses here in a second. He's a very skilled and decisive ball handler, and he's got a bag. He can pull out any type of move on any kind of defender, and he's been doing it all year long for Texas, and he's not just an on-ball scorer. He can move off the ball, coming off screens, coming off pin downs, and he has sort of that it factor. Sort of hard to quantify with stats, but when you watch Texas play, when they need a bucket down the stretch, they need someone to go get them 2 points. Tre Johnson is a guy that's going to get it done. He can score the ball. There is no doubt about that. When you talk about what he can do, he's going to be able to put the ball in the basket when he gets to the NBA. He makes quick moves. He's got a really good-looking jumper, and that showed all season long. He can drill shots from ridiculous angles, hand in his face. It does not matter. He can make any shot on the floor. And I love this. 44% of his shots this season were from behind the three-point line. That's the direction the NBA is going. The Sixers need more of that because they do not shoot enough threes and they do not make enough threes. Now, of course, Tre Johnson has his weaknesses as well. He has some concerns defensively. At just 190 pounds, he does lack some strength. Now, he does have good size, but not great size, especially if you're trying to run him at the wing spot at 6'6". But his effort, his focus, really uninspiring on the defensive end. He just seems to not be as locked in on that end of the floor compared to offensively. And he does struggle to absorb and finish through contact. One of the things you're looking for in a great scorer at the NBA level, of course, you want them to be able to get their own shot off and create for themselves on the perimeter, but you want to see them be able to get inside the paint, not just to get to the line or finish at the rim, but to create good looks for others, draw the defense in. He doesn't do that at quite a high enough level just yet. He really relies heavily on taking tough jumpers. And look, he can make a lot of those, but he makes a lot of those in college. Is he going to be able to come in to the NBA and make a lot of those right away? That's kind of where the questions have been with Tre Johnson. Can he be a true top scoring option given his skill set? When you look at top scoring options in the NBA, these guys can get to the line. They can get inside. They can score in a variety of ways. Tre Johnson, can he add that to his game? Now, it's certainly impressive that he led the SEC in scoring at nearly 20 points per game as a freshman. Hard to do in a very, very talented SEC this year. And not super efficient from the field, but nearly 40% from three when 44% of his shots are threes is extremely impressive. Tre Johnson's a guy that, you look at some of the talented freshmen coming out, he's not quite in that top 5 of prospects like from Duke Cooper Flagg or an Ace Bailey or, some of these other top prospects, a VJ Edgecombe, a Dylan Harper. But he's right outside that top sort of 5 area there. And he really can be, after that top 5, a guy where you look at, all right, what's the board looking like next? Can Tre Johnson fill a need There, got more to get to on today's show. But these Tyrese Maxey jerseys, I want to tell you guys about this deal right now. They were $110, very pricey, I know, for a Tyrese Maxey jersey, but they are down now to just $70. If you use our link, chatsports.com/Maxey jersey, you can go find that great deal. Not a whole lot of good going on right now with the 76ers, but Tyrese Maxey's a guy that, we love over here. I'm sure you love as well. We love to support. Again, that's chatsports.com/Maxey jersey. It'll be in the comment section and description of today's show. Get it while it's hot. The deal will not last forever. Another thing I look at with some of these top prospects is how do they perform in the biggest of moments? And although Texas lost in the play-in game to get into the tournament, Tre Johnson against Xavier had himself a very solid game. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 6 of 14 from the field, just 2 of 7 from 3. But what I really like to see in this game, 7 of 11 from the line. He didn't do that a lot all season long, as I mentioned. Not a guy who can really get to the rim, but he showed that off in what was Texas's biggest game of the year. Now, of course, they didn't win, but that was not because of Tre Johnson. To me, he's a bona fide top 10 pick in this year's draft. Again, as I mentioned, you have your top 5 guys, and then he's somewhere in that 6 through 10 range. So if the Sixers do land at pick 6, he's a guy you could certainly be looking at as that next tier of prospects. In the NBA, he's going to be a bucket getter. There's no doubt about it. He can play on the ball. He can play off the ball. Again, the question is, can he elevate the other aspects of his game to become a true superstar? That's the type of thing that you would like to see from a top 5 prospect. To me, he's sort of in the mold of a Cam Thomas, a CJ McCollum, or a young Devin Booker. Now, the difference is Devin Booker, in his first few years with the Phoenix Suns, was able to develop his game, add some playmaking, became a better defender, got to that mid-range, can get to the rim. He really became well-rounded as a scorer, where a guy like Cam Thomas right now, doesn't have quite all that in his bag. He can certainly fill it up, but he also has his deficiencies on the defensive end of the floor. I like Tre Johnson a lot. I think he can be a really good NBA player, and at that 6 to 10 range would probably be a steal, but I'm not so sure he's a fit for Philadelphia, given where the Sixers roster currently stands. You have Tyrese Maxey at the guard spot. You have Jared McCain at the guard spot. You hopefully can bring back Quentin Grimes. Now, if you can't bring back Grimes, maybe you do go Johnson, because I think he maybe could play next to Maxey and McCain, but I'd rather go for someone with a little more size on that wing spot. So as much as I like Tre Johnson, I don't know if he's the kind of player that the Sixers necessarily need if they are drafting in that top 6. Another player, Asa Newell, out of Georgia. They got throttled by Gonzaga in the first round, but Asa Newell was Georgia's best player all season long and helped lead them in that stacked SEC to a 9 seed in the NCAA Tournament. 6'11" forward/center. He can play a little small ball 5 with a 7-foot wingspan at 220 pounds. Also a freshman, just 19 years old. Where Asa Newell really excels is as a finisher around the rim. He's a superb athlete. He's got great mobility and great length. For a guy his size, he can really move around the floor, and he uses that movement to the best of his ability. He's a great offensive rebounder. Over 3 offensive rebounds a game this year. And again, he doesn't have tremendous size at 6'11", but with his athleticism, with his mobility, he's able to use these athletic tools he has to make an impact on that end of the floor. And defensively, he can guard multiple positions. He can guard inside, but he can also step out and guard on the perimeter. He's got good IQ. He's always playing with a high level of effort, someone you never have to question if he's giving 110% at all times. He is a big-time athlete who, when you just watch him play, watch him run up and down the floor, he passes that eye test. Somebody who you look at and you say, wow, that is an NBA player. That's what I think of when I look at Asa Newell. But of course, also comes with his weaknesses. Most notably, he needs to improve as a three-point shooter. Being sort of a tweener, 6'11", 7 foot, will he play the 4? Will he play the 5? He has to add that three-point shot to his game in order to really bring his game to the next level. He also has to add strength, because if he isn't going to add that three-point shot, he's going to play more on the interior. At 220 pounds, he just does not have enough physicality right now to handle some of these bigs in the NBA. And He does do a little bit with the ball in his hands facing up in the post, but he's really not much of a self-creator. A lot of his points, a lot of his shots come off of lobs or finishes at the rim. He's not going to take a mid-range jumper. He takes some threes here and there, but again, not at a high level. 15.7 rebounds, over 50% from the field, but just 29% from three. Now for Asa Newell against Gonzaga, yeah, they got blasted, but he had himself a very good game. And Gonzaga coming in knew. They said, we're going to have trouble with Asa Newell because he is a dog. And finished the game with 20 points, 8 rebounds, 6 of 10 from the field, and 8 of 10 from the line. So I liked what I saw from him as well in a high-pressure situation, in a high-pressure game in the NCAA tournament. To me, Asa Newell is a lottery pick, not quite a guaranteed top 10 like I think Tre Johnson is, because he just has a few more questions to his game, and the upside isn't quite there unless he can develop that three-point shot. He did have 22 three-pointers made this season, so it's somewhere in there. He has a decent-looking jumper, but can he really find it and add that to his game? To me, right now, his role projects in the NBA as a play finisher, someone who can finish lobs, can cut to the basket, get a nice pass coming from the corner, finish at the rim, somebody who can use his athleticism in that regard, and a two-way 4-5 tweener. Again, as I mentioned, he doesn't quite have the size to be a true center, but he's also not quite skilled enough from the perimeter to be a true four. So you'd like to see him develop that three-point shot, because if he can even get to 35% from three, all of a sudden that ceiling does rise a little bit. And you can see that offensive game expand. And then maybe he can get to the mid-range, which he took. I think he took one mid-range jumper all season long. It's just not part of his game. Those are things he's going to have to expand upon in the NBA, where he's not just going to be able to use his athleticism. He's going to have to be able to use some skill as well. Looks a lot to me like a young John Collins. Now, John Collins learned how to shoot, and that's why he became a very good player for the Utah Jazz. But as a young player with Atlanta, he didn't really have that, but he was able to use his athleticism to get to the rim. And then sort of a bigger Aaron Gordon as well, who has played a vital role for the Denver Nuggets, especially in their championship run over the past couple of years. He's also a guy who came into the league as a crazy athlete. Obviously, he was in the dunk contest champion. But over time, he's expanded his game to become more of a winner. He's added some playmaking elements to his game. He's added that three-point shot to his game. And those kind of players, a John Collins and Aaron Gordon, are the types of guys that winning teams need. So that's why I think, although the Sixers, I wouldn't envision them or any team taking Asa Newell in the top 6 of the draft. I think if the Sixers are sitting there at number 6, you have your consensus top 5 off the board, you could maybe trade back a little bit to that 10 to 12 range if another team is really interested in, say, a Tre Johnson, get a future pick or get another player in that trade back, and then still take Asa Newell, because I think he's a better fit for what the Sixers actually need. An athletic guy who can play on the wing, play a little bit down low. They really have nobody who's in that athletic sort of mold. Everybody they have on that wing big spot, like Gershon Yabusele, for example, not near the athlete that Asa Newell is. So a guy to monitor if the Sixers do keep pick 7, but end up trading back a little bit to get a player that better fits their needs. So I'd probably go Asa Newell, again, just more in line with where the Sixers are at as a team right now. But you let me know in the comments section. Pick one. If you were on the clock at 6 and you had to draft one, who are you taking? Give me TJ for Tre Johnson, AN for Asa Newell. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time here on 76ers Now.